Hi everybody, Golden Era Bookham here, and today I thought I would show you my new donkey calf raise machine and how I made it. And I think it's very important to understand the design of it so that perhaps you can make your own as well. Basically, as you can see, you need to understand firstly the way a donkey calf is performed. Usually you would have somebody sitting on your back. But for example, being a family man, I can have my 2 kids on my back or sometimes my wife. But usually I train in evenings and they're not sometimes wanting to get on my back to do the donkey calf. So I had to come up with an idea of how to load weight onto my hips, onto the posterior side of my hips, as would be a normal donkey calf raise where you have people on the back of your back, on the posterior part of your back, on the lower back and on the hips. And yeah, a lot of people say, why don't you just use, for example, one of these weight pins as shown here and load it up with weight? Well, yeah, you can. The issue is that when you get to heavy enough weight, sorry, that's my son hiccuping there. When you get to enough weights, the problem is that when you're doing the donkey calf, the plates are so big that they start hitting your shins or your feet, and it's just not an efficient movement anymore because of the closeness. When you bend over, the closeness of the chain basically attaching to the pin causes it to start hitting your shins and your feet, and so you run into that major problem. And so what I decided to do was to basically use 2 1-meter length 2x4s, and I simply drilled a hole at one end of both beams, right? And you can see that I attached it with a small piece of wood that's approximately, you could say it's about 5 to 6 inches long. And then I run a metal bar across it that attaches to my power rack, right? And see, so this now, if I then do the same down here and attach the rest of the 2 beams, right, I end up now with more 6-inch little pieces of wood. I end up with this lever action, right, as you can see, up and down, right? And it's much more efficient than a weight pin, because if I drill holes more or less towards the middle of these beams and allow a metal rod to go through that allows weights to be stacked, now I don't have that issue of the weights hitting my shins or feet. And you can see that I put an eye bolt here that attaches to a chain that attaches to a weight belt, and all I've got to do now is, I'll show you what I mean by putting the metal rod through and attaching some weights. Okay, so you can see now the side view. I grab it's about 80 centimeters long. It's about 42 millimeters, so almost 2 inches, 1.5 inches actually, in diameter. And I thread that through, right? There it is. Now I can actually stack the thickness, by the way, of the pipe is about 1/2 centimeter, or 1/5 of an inch. And I make sure that it's thick enough so that when I put weights on this, it doesn't actually buckle or bend or deform, right? It's pretty solid. So now, as I mentioned before, all I'm going to do is stack the weights, and you're going to see that when I stack the weights, when I stack the weights.
Okay, Daddy.
What? Keep going. Did you stop?
No.
Good.
But are you okay with your head?
Yeah, I'm okay. So you can see that when I stack the weights, and now I attach the bolt, to the weight belt, which I'll do now. It should work. So you can see I've attached the donkey calf raise machine to a chain which is attached to my weight belt, right? And you can see it's suspended off the ground, which is going to actually allow me to go full range of motion, right? And now I can safely perform the donkey calf raise without having to worry about these discs, which would normally, can you imagine the weight pin being down here, would start hitting and even going on my feet, and it's just not a very effective exercise that way. But because my feet are away from the plates, you know, it's safe, I can load as much as I want, right? So here's a much better angle, so you can see how I set myself up to simulate me bending over. I've got the power rack at a great height here, really isolating the calf now with the hip flexion and leg extension. That's it. So once again, this is the donkey calf raise machine again from another angle. So you can see how this attachment works with my power rack. It's two simple beams, 1 meter long, with holes on one end to allow for a metal rod to attach to the power rack as a lever system. Then you've got a hole through the middle that allows for this metal rod to allow for weights to be stacked. And you know, you can see from the diameter of a normal Olympic plate, these are 15s, slightly smaller. The point is that the thickness of them, you know, I could easily stack 4, 5, 6 if I want on each side, giving me a total of, you know, 250 to 300 kilos on this, which is a significant amount if you're using just metal plates, especially standard Olympic plates. You could easily fit, 5, 6 on them. And you can always make the metal rod larger and larger to fit as much as you like. And once you start using more than 500 pounds, you know, you're using pretty significant amounts of weight there. I mean, Frank Zane used 550 pounds. I know that Arnold used up to 1,000. Of course, nobody needs to go up to those crazy poundages. But the point is that you can simulate the weight that you would have on a donkey calf raise when you consider that a human weighs anywhere between 150 to 200 pounds. If you've got, you know, one human that's 150 pounds, that's, you know, 60 to 70 kilos, which is double that weight. I just used it as a demonstration purpose. But, you know, you can easily put 60 kilos here for one human. 2 humans is 120 to 150 kilos. That will easily fit on this attachment that I've created. And yeah, if you just make your own calf block, your own calf raise step block, you're pretty set. It's a very simple machine that you can make at home for your own power rack. Anyway, I hope you've enjoyed this simple demonstration as to how I made my donkey calf raise machine. And if you feel like making your own, go for it. It's pretty solid, and I really can't wait to enjoy using this machine to do old school donkey calf raises. Anyway, that's it from me. Hope you enjoyed the video. This is the Golden Era Bookworm saying bye for now. Now, if you're interested in learning more about Vince Gironda's approach to bodybuilding, his principles, and all these tips of wisdom that he has, I mean, there's so much stuff that probably hasn't been proven by science, and it will take science to prove or disprove Vince. But to be honest, these 3 books, I believe, which I call the Classic Physique Bundle, are the best books that Vince ever came out with. And they, of course, are the Wild Physique, the Master Series, and the Pro Series. Have a look at it this way. The Wild Physique, I believe, is like the ABCs of Vince Gironda's principles to bodybuilding. He teaches you the exercises and his principles. But how do you put them together? Well, the Master Series is a 14-month program of using all of these principles, all of the diets that Vince came out with, all of the exercises. And believe me, it's a brilliant, brilliant program. Many people have used it. I know personally a lot of bodybuilders that have actually used it and made fantastic results with it. And of course, the Pro Series was a book that he came out with later on, specially targeted for getting into competition. It's just these three books, as I call it, the classic physique bundle, Vince's best work, and available, of course, at www.goldenerabookworm.com. Now, the Pro Series of Bodybuilding, which was targeted for professional bodybuilders, contains 6 programs, each of which go for 2 months each. So it's a whole year, again, in preparation for competition. Online training is now available, including my new program, Novice to Classic, a program geared towards beginners and novices looking at developing a classic physique, as well as Classic Cut, geared at those who wish to lose weight and gain muscle fast. Details available at www.goldenerabookworm.com. Need a bodybuilding poster for your gym or office? Then check out Ironman Magazine archive.smugmug.com for the highest quality posters on the planet. Scroll through the galleries of all the legends, including greats such as Arnold, Frank Zane, Sergio Oliva, Serge Nubret, Tom Platz, and Larry Scott, and much, much more, and select your poster now. Your favorite YouTube channel, please visit teespring.com/stores/goldenerabookworm for merchandise, including t-shirts, hoodies, face masks, phone cases, and much, much more. Once again, at teespring.com/stores/goldenerabookworm. Become a patron at www.patreon.com/goldenerabookworm for hard to find books, scans of rare photos, and articles on the golden era of bodybuilding. To take full advantage of my collaborations, use code GEB20 with nspnutrition.com and vincegironda.com, as well as code bookworm12 at osl.com for a discount at checkout.